Last week, Luke shared some of the story of Ruth, a woman who was fiercely loyal and incredibly kind and caring, and God blessed her. With the risk of outing that I grew up in the 90s, we see what the Spice Girls might consider real girl power. Today, when only a couple of weeks ago, we had a very strange week that both lifted up women, celebrated them, honoured them, but then also let them down, reminded us of the danger, of the risks, of the huge journey there still is to tackle for equality and respect. We're reminded that God loves some girl power, and I mean that in the most inclusive sense of the word. This week we find ourselves in the journey of Easter, a story mainly told by men in the Bible, and yet when the rubber hits the road, who is last at the cross? Who takes the risks? Who puts themselves in danger? Who is the first at the tomb? Who drags themselves out of their grief to do their duty, to take care even when it hurts, to get up even when the weight seems so heavy? It's the women of the story. And in the story of Ruth, Ruth has every opportunity to marry again, to find another safe place to land, to find some security. She doesn't have to choose a life of risk and famine and danger, but she does. Her loyalty is greater than her need for security. And in a world back then that offered women very little security in their own right, this was a huge risk. But this did not go unnoticed by God. The risk that women face today walking the streets does not go unnoticed by God. The part people play in the narrative that women aren't worthy of respect and care, that doesn't go unnoticed to God. The voice of women standing up for other women on the margins does not go unnoticed to God. The quiet, hard-working and loyalty of women to care for others when no one is looking does not go unnoticed to God. And the sin committed against women in all of its ugly forms does not go unnoticed to God. After risking their lives at the foot of the cross, and after being doubted by the men at the tomb, who does Jesus choose to appear to first? The women. This is not to bash men at all. There are many men who would just as passionate about this, and we thank God for them. This reflection is written for all those who identify with those struggles, these fears, these dangers, and who wonders if God notices, if God cares, and if God acts. And in the story of Ruth, in the story of women, in the Easter story, and in our story today, the answer is yes. It has always been yes, and it forever will be yes.